Welcome to Delve Requisite, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Tuesday. In case you missed it, nobody here has to fix their wig, and Jason looks like trash either way, apparently. His words, not mine. It is another Tuesday here on Proficiency Bonus, and this week we are, of course, with the Fool's Errant, one half of our two-sided campaign here on Delve Requisite. Before we go into tonight's stream, let's take care of a couple of pieces of housekeeping business. Before we do anything else, I would like to thank our sponsors. I would like to thank Jason for how deftly he just muted his microphone instead of coughing into it like a savage. And I'm sure our sponsors appreciate that too. Those sponsors, of course, being Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle Games. You can get a link to either of those websites by typing !Little Dragon or !CCG into chat at any point during tonight's stream. Little Dragon Corp is a Canadian-based dice company that provides all shapes, sizes, not really all shapes, just basically the one set of shapes, polyhedral dice shaped, but all sorts of colors and patterns and things. Tabletop RPG dice. You can use our code PROBONUS at checkout with Little Dragon Corp if you buy anything from them and get 10% off of your order. Our other sponsor, Cardboard Castle Games, is a brick and mortar tabletop RPG store located in Evans, Georgia, in the United States. If you are not local to Evans, Georgia, don't worry. They have a robust online site where you can get all of your tabletop RPG needs fulfilled by purchasing the lovely products that they have for sale. So thank you, Cardboard Castle Games and Little Dragon Corp for sponsoring Proficiency Bonus. We have one more bit of housekeeping business tonight before we proceed, and for that, I am going to throw over to Adam, and I'm also going to block out my big dumb head for a second with the promo image. So Adam, take it away and enjoy looking at not my face for like the next 30 to 40 seconds.
You don't have a big dumb head, but thank you. This year, once again, I'd like to do a quick shout out to a friend and fellow streamer by the name of Dokudel. They are taking part in Plastic Model Weekender, a 60-hour charity stream marathon that is raising money for the Cure Alzheimer's Fund. That'll be running from 11 a.m. EST on April 29 to midnight on May 1st. Dokudel's time will their stream will begin at 1 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. If you happen to have a spare couple of bucks, feel free to donate. Every $5 gets you entered into a raffle for a whole mess of model kits, accessories, stuff that is graciously donated. So if you have the time, you have the bucks, or even if you have friends who have either of those. And
the rarest of all three of those things.
Indeed. Let them know, or tune in. Thanks. And thank you, Matt.
Hey, yep, I, about midway through that, realized I should really just resize this thing a little bit so that the full link could be seen. So if you're watching this stream, be sure to check out that Twitch link, which you can see right now, April 29th through May 1st, twitch.tv/Playmo Weekender. Alrighty, let's get this. Boop. We'll pop that up again later in stream in case anybody missed it. And that concludes the housekeeping business for this episode of Delve Requisite, which means we can now get down to the Dungeons and Dragonsing business, which is the, some would argue, main portion of our show every night. Debatable. So for that, we haven't really established a tradition of me making Brittany read a recap last minute with this half of the group, but I learned in pre-stream that she had prepared some stuff, which is way more than I did. So Brittany, if you would like to read whatever it is that you have prepped up about a recap from last session, you can feel free to do that. And since this is not the other stream, I have no gimmicks prepared for the background while you do so. So you can can do your recap in peace.
I mean, I do my recap in peace every week, so I just put my notes over your face on Discord, so I
Fair
don't
enough.
get distracted. So previously, the group of the Fool's Errand had come to the point of an awful decision. Does Osrius hand himself over to the Ignian General in order to save the lives of the innocent people of Mithlinde? After discussing this with each other, Tabitha Delker and Leanna Highhaven, the group met with the King of Mithlinde. Osrius, being made of honor and kindness despite his hulking frame and wanting revenge on the general who the group can safely assume is connected to the destruction of Osrius' family, he decided to give himself up along with the king. The king was visibly relieved, and before departing handed 3 scrolls to 3 of his allies, Sir Tyrus Luther, Tabitha Delker, and Leanna Highhaven. He asked each of them to get out of the city and then follow the instructions in order to make right what has been done here. He then turned to the group of the Fool's Errand and asked them to ensure that Tabitha Delker made it to Terra Libra so that she could inform the members of the Ordinum Librae about what has happened here and this plot's happening, as far as he's aware. Before departing, the group gave Osrius a few tools and tricks to try and aid his escape, and as the king and Osrius walked out to meet their fate, the group, along with their friend Leanna Highhaven, Tabitha Delker, and Velza Erdan, watched, waiting and hoping that they would see their friends again soon. And that is where we left off last time.
Alrighty. Special shout out to Osrius, Maid of Honor.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
That's right. Hello, Lala Big Mac. Welcome to chat. So happy to have you with us tonight. So that is our recap, and that is where we last left off. As you can see, if you're looking at the stream right now, Osrius' player is not with us tonight. He was with us, but he currently has a migraine, and I made him leave. He was here, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna play because there's a big important character thing coming up." And I was like, "You're about to keel over dead. Turn off your computer and go lay down." So Osrius will be probably joining us next session, as I have banished him from the D&D game tonight to take care of his his health. We'll handle that in stride in the game tonight. And without further ado, let us begin. The 4 of you, Alar, Brahm, Velza, Walter, stand side by side with Leanna Highhaven and Tabitha Delker, kind of flanked on either side by a retinue of castle servants and functionaries, guards, some of the surviving members of the parliament. As you watch the king walk out across the main lawn of the grounds of Castle Mithlinde towards the one of the main gates, where General Nurael Tarandel had like set up his his display. He had been sort of rounding up his troops had been rounding up innocent civilians over the course of the evening. The king walks 3/4 of the way across this lawn, and gives the signal to the guards to open the gate, which they do. And from out in the courtyard, or beyond the gate, a retinue of the general's soldiers take position on the opposite side of the gate. And you hear the general call out, King Oldo, I am glad that you have chosen the reasonable option. The violence that would have followed your refusal to meet my demands would have been regrettable and senseless.
I would kindly ask at this time that you alone step forward through the gate and into the protective custody of my men. Likewise, I would request that your soldiers upon the battlements descend from their post, and that the castle's defenders exit into the grounds and lay down their weapons in an orderly fashion. Bloodshed and death, more than has already been a necessity, is senseless at this point. I hope that we can continue these peaceable transfers of power without any unwise heroics.
This last bit of his sentence, you kind of get the sense that is sort of directed more to the the gathered soldiers and castle defenders and thing. The king kind of like looks around to his subjects within the courtyard here. Sort of at the very end of this slow glance around, you see his eyes kind of cast over the group of you located in the castle doorway, and he gives you a very slight nod, as if to say, like, it's going to be okay. Just stick to the plan. And he begins to stride forward. You see Sir Tyrus Luther, who had walked out with him and Osrius, takes like almost an involuntary step forward to kind of follow his king, and King Oldo turns and puts a hand again on his shoulder, and kind of see him shake the shoulder of the other man a little bit, and to steady him, and continues his walk. Sir Tyrus Luther stays where he had been. Osrius, you kind of see, just watches all of this seemingly impassively. He has his arms folded across his chest. He is staring straight ahead, his eyes fixed on the general. But for at least the three of you out of the four of you, you kind of see in the tension of like the muscles in the back of his neck. You can see that though he stands as if carved from stone itself, you see that he is very much like a coiled spring right now, and there is a great deal of tension in his posture. But he makes no further moves. A small, sort of wispy gentleman kind of almost seems to like materialize out of thin air near you guys, which almost seems magical, but you gauge kind of turns out to be a function of him being an excellent like castle steward, in that his approach is so unobtrusive that he just seems to be there out of the corner of your eye one moment where he was not the moment before. And he says, if your lordships, adventurers, good sirs and ladies, if you are ready to depart, he kind of looks nervously and he says, and I suppose you have some time, but it would be wise to do so before any of the invaders make their way into the castle proper. I am at your disposal to lead you to the passage that will take you safely from the castle. And he just kind of like bows himself back a little, and he says, I will be just there when you are ready.
I look at Highhaven and will follow her move.
Alar's hands clench on Osrius's axe. He is, want to make sure that it's not just taken from him entirely. So made sure to promise and I would give it back to him as soon as I saw him. Dear God in heaven.
The mustache is staying on.
That's the least of the horror. But let's have a deep breath.
Yes, as a DM ruling, I will allow you to use probo points to give Walter negative inspiration.
Oh, the mustache fell off.
All right, we can't help him anymore. Let's do what we can and make sure that we're there to meet up with him when he gets out.
Okay, so you guys are departing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you kind of turn away. You follow the small gentleman in his regal coattails, and he says, looking at the group of you, he says,
That's the general's voice, sorry.
No, no, it was a
it
trap.
was me all along!
No, he says,
Your friend is very, very noble. The sacrifice that he has made for the people of this city is a thing that deserves every blessing that the gods would be in their infinite grace willing to bestow.
Thanks. Hopefully it's not the last good deed that man does. Lady Delker, you're are you armored? Probably not.
she, I believe you gave her the hand crossbow that you had taken from way back, that you had taken from the female member of Rogers and the Boys. So she has that. She has a a dagger on her. I believe you. I'm trying to remember. You either gave her or took back from her that folding rapier. I think you took back from her that folding
I
rapier.
took it back.
Now, right?
Took it back with the promise of finding her another.
Yeah, no, I didn't give that to Oz. I took it back because I assumed we were going to do something stupid. So I hand her back the folding rapier because she's got quite a sleight of hand skill.
She'll take it and sort of like store it within the folds of her dress. She says, "It is certainly comforting to have extra protection upon my person, but I will, if at all possible, refrain from engaging in hand-to-hand melee combat. I feel rather more comfortable at a distance." And she sort of pats the crossbow. Less likely to get stabbed and all that.
Yeah, don't recommend it. All right. Sir Stewart, how do we get out of here?
He kind of nods and he says, "Yes, very good. Follow me." He leads you out of the Great Hall. And as you guys are kind of led deeper into the castle, you pass by, a lot of the castle's sort of like staff and stewardly personnel, who are, very much kind of milling about, various members of like nobility and things like that were in the castle, just kind of. They're all sort of listless. They don't really have, anything that they are, have been instructed to do at this point. So they're just kind of waiting anxiously. You see a lot of very nervous-looking faces on any number of individuals here whose specific rank and role and whatever you have no way of guessing. They are. As a counterpart to them, the sort of military minded, I guess. So, the guards, things like that. The trained and armed and armored contingent here in the castle is in the process of like filing their way past you in the opposite direction, head out to the grounds, surrender weapons and things as ordered, and kind of array themselves off to the side, as the general had promised that no further harm would come to anyone who laid down arms and things like that. So they are in the sort of the process of that. You guys can go ahead and make collectively, you guys can all make a perception check if you'd like.
Is it daylight?
It's like dawn right now, but you guys are pretty well inside the castle, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
16. 19.
16, 19.
17.
Regular perception check, right?
Yep.
11.
11. Okay. What was Velza's?
17.
17. Okay. So, Walter, I think most of the people that you pass are like definitely avoiding, like, they kind of look at the group of you heading the other way, and like when they see you, like they quickly like people divert away from you.
Yeah, that tracks.
The rest of you, as you guys are making your way, being led by this steward, through the castle, you guys notice, as you kind of go through a larger, a little bit of a larger chamber, it looks like it maybe is like some sort of an ancillary, either like an ancillary meeting room, or could serve like multi-purpose as like a place to like hold smaller gatherings and maybe even like little events type of thing. It is currently adorned with several small round tables with chairs seated around them, as if it was intended for a light gathering of some sort. There are a trio of individuals in the corner of this room that you guys notice, the three of you on the top of my screen, so Alar, Brahm, and Velza. You guys notice they are like talking animatedly amongst themselves. Two of them are, rather. It is three people. Two of them are talking animatedly to one another, while the third is kind of like remaining still and quiet. And you see that they are occasionally glancing in your direction. One of them even like kind of like trying to be kind of subtle about it, like is like gesticulating towards you guys a little bit. And you see that it is a man who you gauge to be in his mid 50s, a woman who appears to be a little bit younger than that, maybe late 40s, and a boy who you doubt is older than like 13 or 14. He's a little bit younger, it looks like, than Tabitha Delker. The man and the woman are the ones conversing with one another, while the boy sort of like looks between the two of them and is just saying nothing. They are all three of them wearing like courtly regalia.
I'm going to make an attempt as we're going past to try and see if I can catch a snippet of what they're saying.
Okay, make another perception check. Is anybody else doing anything?
It's only a 16.
Okay. With a 16, you catch snippets. The woman, you catch in sort of her tones, you catch safer than here, well armed. who knows what they'll do. And from the man, you catch with us. Dangers ahead. Who knows what?
Uh. hmm.
Do Tabitha or Leanna recognize them? Or would I have a chance of recognizing them?
I don't think you do. Are you asking either of them, or are you...
I'll motion them to Leanna. I don't know Tabitha that well, so I'm just kind of like pointing
You
them
kind of
out.
nod your head. She sort of glances. She shakes her head. She says, "I don't know."
Darn it. Alar is going to catch the try and catch the man's eye and just give a subtle head shake as he keeps moving.
Okay. I think you're probably able to do that without any like roll required. He sort of like, you know, you look at him, you shake your head, and he kind of nods, and then goes back to arguing with, you know, presumably his wife, it seems. Is anybody else doing anything as you guys are like about to be led out of this chamber into another chamber? Oh, Russell's camera's freaking out for me.
I think he froze.
There we go.
He's like stutter stepping. All right, he seems to be.
He's okay now.
I said no.
Sorry, 5 frames per minute. We'll get there.
Okay. So you guys are like kind of heading out. Let me see. That is and that is okay. So here's what happened. So I made a roll. For both the man and the woman, like basically contested, sort of like charisma checks, I guess. The man rolled a 14. The woman rolled a nat 20. So what happens is you guys like get to the other side of the room. The steward that is guarding you, like opens the door and is like beginning to move through to lead you through. The woman, like breaks away from this little like heated conversation she is having. She says, "Wait, please."
Can we help you?
You turn. She gestures back. You see, like just you like looking at her and addressing her almost is enough that like it makes her lose her nerve. But she, yeah, your mustache falls off, which is the thing that bothers her more about your appearance, not your spooky eyes.
All right, I'm done with that. It keeps falling off every time I laugh.
It's fine. She kind of like looks to the group of you and she says, "Please, points back. She says, "My son, you're leaving the castle. Would you take him with you?"
What we're about to do is probably going to be very dangerous. I cannot guarantee it.
She's more dangerous than the Imperial soldiers that are about to sweep through this castle.
We're not going to be able to dodge all of the soldiers ourselves.
The gentleman that she'd been arguing with like comes up behind her and he says, "I told you, they are not." He says, you must excuse my wife. She is, as we all are, concerned. But I tried to tell her that whatever path from this castle and out of the city that you are taking, it is guaranteed to be no safer than staying here. The general, be as he may, has ensured that no one who does not resist will be harmed. He says, I have no desire to have our son separated from us. And she kind of like, they sort of like turn in on each other, like kind of beginning to bicker again, as her point seems to be like, can we just get him out of here, like get him somewhere else, and
I'm
he can be
going
safe.
to disguise self to put my normal face back on.
Okay.
I'm gonna like touch both of their shoulders and say, now is the time for you to be parents. I understand. I'll like look at the woman like with my not spooky eyes this time, and say like, I
Sure.
understand wanting to protect your child, but if he's caught with us trying to escape, I cannot, as a parent, reasonably guarantee his safety. He will be killed with us if we are caught.
Make a persuasion roll, and do so with advantage.
So 18 is the higher.
Okay. She sort of at this like cold, hard truth. She sort of like reflexively like turns and reaches to their son who had like kind of followed behind them and like takes him up, and she says, "Perhaps you are right. I just I don't want anything to happen to him, and they're going to come into the castle, and I just don't know what's going to happen."
I'm gonna fish around my pockets, and I'm going to pull out my little shot-through coin that I've had for 2.5 years now,
Okay.
and I'm gonna hand it to the child and say, this is a trinket, but it's been with me this long, and I've been alive this long with my adventures. Perhaps it's got a little bit of luck left in it for you. And I'll just hand him the coin.
He kind of like looks to his parents. His father kind of like gives him a nod, like, yeah. And he reaches out and takes his. Thank you, sir. Maybe it will have enough luck to keep Mama and Papa safe as well.
Alar will shake hands with the mother and the father. He'll lean in toward the father. Watch, listen. There may be an opportunity that comes.
He doesn't really respond to this. You see kind of a flicker of like uncertainty and various other complicated emotions go across his face, but he shakes your hand. He nods. Says,
When he does so with the mother, he gives the same advice, and he scruffs the kid's hair.
Okay, so you exchange this back and forth with the trio of them, and as you guys begin to move your way again, you hear the father of the trio. He says, "Come, Natalia, Ingo. It would be better if we give no reason for anyone to believe that we are hiding or skulking about. Let us return to the main hall. Everything will be okay, I promise." And the three of them depart off in the opposite direction, and you guys follow through that doorway.
It was apparently given to me by a townsfolk in one of our first towns as
There you go.
thank you for saving the city. So town.
Indeed, you have it. Well, he has it now. It was the key to the whole campaign, and he just gave it away to a random boy. No.
He is
Okay.
the chosen one.
He is the chosen, yeah. So you guys head further into the castle, and you are led to a small courtyard somewhere within the interior of the castle that has a glass greenhouse roof essentially over it. It's not a very big chamber or opening. It's sort of a maybe 15 foot by 15 foot little like patch of nature surrounded on all sides by like the looming stone walls of Castle Mithlinde. The steward says, "We have arrived. It is here that I will part ways with you. The tunnel, which I will access for you post haste, has, to my knowledge, only needed to be used on one occasion many years ago when a bit of civil unrest in Mithlinde threatened the castle. There is every reason to believe that the passage ahead is perfectly safe. But as you may or may not be aware, there is a significant amount of ancient ruin and underground networks of sorts beneath the city of Neveria, upon which the current city stands. And it is not unheard of that cave-ins and tectonic shifts and the like rearrange certain passages down there. I do bid you every advantage and hope for haste in all the realms, but I would recommend caution as you proceed through in the event that something nasty has found its way into the tunnels. They are periodically scouted out, and as of its last inspection, it was still safe and secure, but the king has clearly placed a great deal of trust in the group of you, as he has utilized this exit for you and you alone. He says, once you are inside, you will find a mechanism in the tunnel which will seal the entrance behind you, making it impossible for you to be followed.
Thank you. You are a credit to your service.
He nods to you and he says, I am only doing what is my duty. I serve my king, and this is... I dare not think it, but this is perhaps the last command that he has given me, and I intend to see it through. With that, he heads over to a kind of an innocuous-looking stone bench, and he reaches down to like the underside of the bench, and he kind of like fiddles around with something that you can't see underneath, like where the like top and the leg of the bench meet. And a moment later, you hear a like sort of like a stone on stone like, and you watch as a pretty decent sized like raised bed containing a bunch of different like herbs and ornamental flowers and stuff like that raises up about 6 inches off of the ground and then slides backwards, revealing a set of stone steps that descend into the ground. The steward kind of comes over and he says, several hundred years ago, one of the only contingents of
emissaries from the kingdoms of the dwarves in Krasjudur paid visit to Mithlinde, and this is in the time before King Oldo's line took the throne. When the line of the Mithlindes was still unbroken, they gifted to the family at that time an engineer who would install kind of gestures like this, as well as several other features throughout the castle. As such, it is, I would wager, still in perfect functioning order, as the dwarves are known for nothing if not their extremely fine craftsmanship in architecture and engineering. I think you will have nothing to fear from within the tunnel, successfully sealing the way behind you and making your way out to the city beyond. The tunnel itself will lead you beyond the walls of the upper district and will deposit you within the confines of the. I says, are you familiar with the large park within the forest ward?
Yes.
I believe we are. Yeah.
This is that is where the passageway lets out. From there, you will still need to find your way out of the city, but you will be a significant distance away from the castle here, as it were.
Kind of out of character question. Have we actually seen the end of that entrance before? I vaguely recall being in a park with a strange entryway.
Oh, you may be thinking of the place in Valon that we went to.
I might be thinking of a place in Valon that we went to.
That was in a
Yeah,
greenhouse
with that
as well.
bush, we defiled that bush.
Yes, there was. No, that's a different. That's a different
Don't like
thing in
the
a
word
park. You defiled a bush. You defiled a bush in Adracolm. The entrance to like the way that you found your way into the underground layer where they had the ghost lantern and the sentient
Yes.
ooze that was eating people. That was in a park in the other Valandan city that you visited, which I will give you the name of in 2 seconds if I can.
Was it?
go.
I thought it was Adracolm. It was
Adracolm is where we ran in, where we encountered that monster in the ghost lantern. The bush that we defiled was in.
Stop saying you defiled a bush. It's fine. We get it.
No, Osrius did defile the family bush of the.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
I thought
that was a
different
that
city,
was
different
from
adventure.
Town.
I apologize. Anyway, if
Vol-
it's not here.
Volrenheim.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Which I
Unless I have it
believe-
backwards here. You've been to
I think-
Volrenheim and you've been to Adracolm.
Yes,
one of them-
Adracolm
one of
is
them
where
is-
we went to investigate the murder, and that's where we found the ghost
Yes.
lantern. And yeah,
Yes.
There was a secret park entrance in that city, yes.
Okay. I thought I wasn't crazy.
But yeah, no,
That
you
much.
have not encountered anything similar to that here. Okay. Anything else? Or you guys
Time
heading
like
in?
the present. I'm gonna pull my shovel out and prepare to dig. It's a convenient multi-tool.
Okay, you pull your shovel out and you find that you definitely don't need to dig, as there is a like perfectly serviceable staircase down into a tunnel, with no digging required.
Perfect. Even better.
So why would you manually dig? Why wouldn't you just use mold earth?
Symbolic.
let's just
Alright.
get going.
I'm already
Downstairs
walking
with
into
these
the
symbols.
It's a cultural thing. You wouldn't understand. Oh, it's a large baby.
Hang on.
She's gonna fart into the microphone. You know this. Oh, it's Fritos time.
Dun, 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 dun.
What does that look like on stream?
It looks like
It was
floating
just
dog
2
feet.
feet. It was just 2 feet, like, came in from the side of the street and kicked you in the side of the head.
I'm waiting for it. It's coming up.
Oh,
You're really delayed.
Russ has the 10-minute delay.
All right, down
already
we
in the
go.
tunnel.
And Alar's looking for the lever, switch, whatever.
Okay. So you guys head down into this this tunnel. Go ahead and make anybody looking for whatever the mechanism is. Make a perception check.
27.
Oh, it won't help. Never mind.
I got a 21. Just
Oh,
saying.
yeah. Bottom roll the dice.
It's fine.
Alar
Serviceable.
sees the mechanism through Brom's head. So Alar, you find that there is a it's not so much a like specific mechanism as it is a series of like stone, like sort of like support columns have been put in place here, and you see that they are they're like notched in such a way as to make them they're probably 7-8 inches thick, these like columns that kind of like go up and around and support the opening to this bit of tunnel, and the first like 4 or 5 of them are notched at about like waist height for non-dwarven sized folks, in such a way that makes them clearly able to be like kind of like smashed out, which you can pretty much intuit would like cause these several braces to like lose stability and then cause like a cave-in of some sort.
Gentlemen, ladies, it's time for plans A, B, and C.
Only got 2 hands.
Alar pulls out plan C.
Okay, so you're gonna crossbow the crowbar.
Yeah.
Okay. With your super duper perception check, I think you can intuit that like there's gonna be like kind of a little bit of a trick to this, because like you don't want to get smushed by what you assume is the incoming avalanche of stone and earth after you break these things. So the trick is either going to be to like figure out how to do this dexterously enough to like get the hell out of the way, or figure out a way to like trigger these things remotely.
I will study it for a moment to see if there is a way to spring the trap without dropping on my head.
Is this something that Mage Hand can do? Is it not like super
Probably too
much?
too hefty for a mage hand.
That's what I thought.
25 on investigation.
25 on investigation. Big old stick would probably do it.
Okay.
What?
There's
Well, I have a shovel. Just like
it's a very it's a sassy way to say like you pretty much figure if you had something hefty enough that you could basically from like the point behind these like ram through. And as you kind of look, I guess what I'll give you to reward the very high investigation roll, you are fairly certain that at some point in history there probably should have been a pair of some sort of like elongated like bars of some sort that would basically be like either mounted to the wall or set in like a bracket, so that then they could just be like shoved forward, and they would basically go like through these serrated parts of these, and then cause this cave in. They seem to be gone for an unknown reason at this point.
Okay.
But basically, either do it and get ready to run, or find some way to like ram something with sufficient force into these, through this series of these things from like beyond that point to, ensure that you're not in damage range.
My God.
If only we had a 12-foot pole.
If this was D&D first edition, you would 100% have the requisite 10-foot pole that you would like be perfectly suited for this situation.
I have ancient dwarven embalming tools.
You sure
Are
do.
any of them of sufficient length?
No, Walter, we did not just discover that Walter has been carrying around a 15-foot like giblet stirrer for the last 3 years of the campaign.
I was wondering why I couldn't get this tall short entrances.
No.
Is
Yes,
there
I've
any
got-
loose? Is there any like loose earth underneath these pillars?
No, but there is a bunch of like, once you get about 5-6 feet beyond where these things are, the cave goes from being a constructed staircase to like entryway to being like what appears to be more natural cavern like tunnel. So that's got like bits of stone, earth, and things like that are
Could I reasonably mold earth to collapse?
probably
a
probably
small
loose
section of
enough
tunnel?
to mold earth. Yes.
Well, if we can't get that out quickly, I'll just point to like the part above us. I'll just collapse the section once we go a little further down.
Rather than not even knowing that there was something here, I'm gonna hand off Osrius's axe. Motion the rest of the group to get to a safe spot, and okay,
I'll dig you out if we need to.
thanks. And I will attempt to use the crowbar to dislodge some of the supports.
Make a strength check.
Good boy. 14.
Ah, yes,
14.
The eight strength crew at it again.
You're like wrenching at these things with this crowbar. You're not able to make anything budge. Oh no, I forgot everybody here is like a charisma-based character.
Yep.
Charisma and in.
And Eldritch Blast cannot, rules as written, target an object.
No.
All right.
I have a 10 strength, but a 0 modifier.
Trying again.
That's
Yeah, I
better than
haven't-
-1.
15.
Okay, so yeah, so to narratively smooth over this, I think probably what happens is like who would be like reasonably like involve themselves in this process, or are literally the four of you just watching Alar struggle with a crowbar?
I would eventually go over and jump on the end of the crowbar and like try to like.
And because like, at this point, like from a sheer size standpoint, Brahm is the biggest current party member. So
Okay, so
no.
Walter, are you staying out of it?
Walter's gonna contemplate why we're not just like tying a piece of rope around one of the pillars and just having everybody pull as they're going at it with the crowbar.
If you say that out
Doesn't
loud,
say that
Alar's
out
gonna
loud.
stop and go.
I think after you're like in the middle of prying the first few times, he'll think it out loud. It's like, why don't we
Yeah.
just use rope?
Wait, what did you say?
Rope? Do you have rope on you? I imagine it's like on the outside of your backpack.
Yeah, there is a very quiet but distinct draconic curse, and Alar starts tying loops the rope through the gaps in the pillar, ties it off with a bunch of knots, pulls it through, pulls it back out into the safe zone. All right, everybody grab, and on 3, 1, 2.
I'm not
Can't
gonna
have
make
us
you
all
guys
make
roll.
us.
No. Collectively, like the group of you plus Leanna Highhaven are enough that you pull.
Cool, because that's a 6.
Oh well.
I offered a suggestion.
Make
That's my contribution.
Walter. Make a stealth check.
I might be good at this. It's 15.
What's everybody's passive perception?
12.
I'm sorry. Passive perception is 20.
Jesus.
I'm a rogue. What do you want?
14 for me.
Okay, so Alar, you definitely noticed that like Walter didn't super help with the pulling portion. Like, he like didn't have good footing or whatever, and he sort of like he was there, but like you could definitely tell that Walter was not helpful.
Walter put one hand on it, went to it like, oh, ooh, this is so heavy. Oh man.
You appear to be the only one who
Mage hand
noticed
holding
that.
Fair enough.
So you guys pull, and the series of like the serrated, perforated, if you will, portions of these support like arches with the rope kind of like looped through them, pull through, and the ones on the other side, as you pull through like the one side of this kind of arch, and these sort of give way, it causes this to like crack, and this the other side comes apart of these arches, and what happens is not the like cave in necessarily that you were expecting, but like one after the other, full like perfectly geometric like sections of the wall, divided by like where each of those support pillars were, sort of like fold down, and then like further pieces of like what you would have thought were like stone and tunnel around this, all like it's a cave-in, but it's like a cave-in that happened in Minecraft, where everything was like perfectly geometrical as it like, and the result is not a collapsed tunnel so much that it is like a perfectly like sealed flat stone wall at the end of this tunnel where there had been a staircase before.
Is there any dwarven writing anywhere in this immediate area now that we've seen it close?
Make a investigation check.
How's a 23 look?
With a 23, you find two bits of dwarven writing. One of them looks to be a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a
It's got a maker mark.
yes, yeah, it's like a you have your special reading eyeballs, right? Like if you touch something,
I also speak and read Dwarvish already.
Oh, okay, all right.
Even without that, but
you read the name that is like inscribed in the insignia here, like the sort of like the architect's name is Thromgrim Cragfist. The other piece of dwarven writing is kind of like a little sloppier. It's a little further into the cave. It's kind of like a little off out of the way. The look of it is not like as sort of like neatly and like meticulously applied. It looks like it was just sort of like slapdashed into the tunnel here at some point. Oh, you can read Dwarvish. It says I
can read everything, but also specifically I can read Dwarvish and Elvish.
You look, and in Dwarvish it is it is a again like a name, and And in Dwarvish, the sort of like the way that the syntax works, the like the proper noun is like placed at the end of sentences. So what you read is like essentially like was here, and then it is the name Grobderdes. And then there's like a little arrow pointing like a little deeper into the tunnel.
Awesome. Alar will cut the remaining portion of rope free, sew it, and off we go.
Sure. Okay.
I'm gonna like point at the mark where it says that, and I'm just gonna say, I found a clue.
What does it say? I don't read Dwarvish. I'm fully not.
Grobderdes was here.
I look at Aylar.
I read
And
Dwarvish.
Walter.
I swear to God, if later down in this tunnel it says and grab these nuts, I'm gonna lose it.
When Brahm says that, Velsa just starts walking ahead. So fucking done with this entire day. It has been a long day. She is done.
I'm gonna use Mold Earth, and I'm just gonna write nice.
Yeah, if you had followed the arrow, it definitely like two more feet down. It definitely said pebbles.
Grobderdes pebbles.
Okay. Off we go.
Hey, grab these pebbles. That's a one-shot character.
Goodness. So you you guys head off down the tunnel. Everybody, go ahead and make a let's call it a survival check just to see how your journey goes here.
Ridley.
Not great. How many players in this cave? Oh, so they
4.
roll 3 to 2.
10.
Oh.
Please tell me Leanna and Tabitha are rolling as well.
We're gonna need it.
At the least, Leanna will. She rolls a 12, which is not great, but it's not terrible.
Leanna or not? Tabitha's a human, right?
She is a human.
Yeah.
She can't see shit unless you guys have some sort of
I'm
illumination.
gonna when I realize that Tabitha probably can't see very well, I'm gonna use dancing lights to just like
Okay.
make a person-sized light.
All right, I'll make a
guess.
roll for her as well. Well, she botched it. She got a 9. So.
Light.
She botched it less than me.
Oh,
Me and Alar combined.
Okay, so what were those rolls again?
5.
5,
I'm sorry,
5.
4. Mine was a
4.
4.
Okay.
So 5, a 4, a 10, and
6.
Okay, so
Hell yeah.
nobody like 10 was the best we did. Okay,
Ethan,
well, that's not
what
true. I
you
guess
got?
High Haven got a 12. Still not
Yeah.
great. So, so you guys proceed through this tunnel. It is, for the most part, like it does appear to be, as far as you can tell, anyway. It seems to be a fairly natural. That's the wrong term for it. Like this tunnel is not a natural occurrence. This tunnel is sort of like was just excavated through the earth, and the time to make this like a finished hallway essentially was never taken. Like this was just intended to be like a bolt tunnel. So it is basically like unworked earth and stone, with like mining tunnel support beams keeping the thing up. You do see that there are like occasional brackets in the wall that have been put in there where like a torch could be ensconced. They are currently all empty as you pass through your illumination coming from Walter and his dancing lights. There is the occasional area where you guys will pass through a chunk where like a good like 15-20 foot section of the tunnel is like brick or stone, like has been installed, as if like, he did say there's like a bunch of tunnels and other shit that like serpentines around under the city. So like you get the sense that maybe this thing bisected something else and they like sealed it in to keep the tunnel intact. You pass through a number of those. Otherwise, it is a fairly straight, like sort of straight shot. So you may be asking yourselves, why the hell did we have to make a survival roll to walk down a straight hallway? Well, I'll tell you why. Because you get to a point where very recently, you would imagine, based on the like condition of the tunnel that you find yourself in, there appears to be like freshly disturbed earth and like still barely settled dust in this area. The tunnel that you are traversing down has been partly collapsed. Anyone who has the sort of, I guess, sense of direction to suss this out, I'll leave that up to you guys, would kind of be able to intuit that the path that you have been following through this tunnel has not been one that has been leading you straight sort of north by northwest towards where the exit is, but is one that is taking you on like a wide circuitous arc that is heading like west and then bearing west by north to head up that way. And you believe you have passed probably out of the upper ward at this point and are somewhere beneath the it's not ambassador's ward, where the universities of arcane and material sciences for Mithlinde are, where the burned remains of the library are, where the Moxum enclave is, where various other enclaves of guilds and ambassadorial seats are, and where most notably and most directly relevant to your current situation, you guys just dropped an enormous goddamn rock straight into the ground in the Navirian Transit Center, which you intuit set off a tremendous, like, seismic ripple, like, through the ground that has collapsed part of this tunnel. But as they say, when the gods close one door, they open a window. And in this case, that window comes in the form of a small opening in the tunnel, big enough probably for like Tabitha Delker maybe to stick her like head and shoulders through, and like wide enough maybe for Brahm to like put a bicep through.
This is loose earth and dirt and stones, right?
Yes.
But isn't the consequences of our actions?
Oh no. So anyway, I started molding earth. I'm gonna try to make the hole bigger.
Alar is gonna conjure Scooter.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me just make sure that weasels have dark vision.
I mean,
So you begin molding earth.
did I give Oz the goggles of night? I don't think so. I did, but then we stripped him of most other things. So we didn't want him
Checking the
visibly to have stuff.
Sure. Is that question a preface to can we put the goggles of night on the ferret? Because yes, you certainly fucking can. Because
I would say it isn't not because of
Sam
that.
Fisher, Sam Fisher ferret with night vision goggles is goddamn radical and will 100% be a thing I will allow.
Awesome. So yes, I will tighten the goggles on him. All right, little friend. Once more, and
Alright, so
I
you
will feed him through.
send Scooter through. He skitters off into the opening. Walter, you are beginning to like mold earth to try and widen the opening. Let us make a. Let's just do the flat d20 rolls for both Scooter and for Walter.
Just a d20.
Just a d20.
Yield d20. Straight 15.
Straight 15. Okay.
19.
Okay. So Walter, you managed to widen this opening. Roughly another foot. So probably wide enough that most of you guys could sort of wriggle your way through. You think Brahm is probably gonna like if you guys like sort of like one person got on one side and one person got on the other and you guys like pulled like shoved Brahm through. Same thing with Highhaven, who is a little like a little stockier, though she's she's an elf, so she's not nearly as like broad as Brahm. But she is still wearing like some of her some pieces of her armor and her weaponry and stuff. But like you think probably everybody but Brahm could wriggle through this. However, what you are able to tell with the combination of that roll and Scooter's roll is that the opening that you are like creating here is extremely precarious. You kind of get it to that foot point and then stop because you realize like if I continue to shift this earth around, like I am going to destabilize this opening and I'm going to cause a cave in that's going to kill us all. And Scooter kind of gets through. Scooter discovers that the opening here is only about 4 or 5 feet. Sort of like the tunnel opening or whatever that you guys are working on. It's only about 4 or 5 feet deep, and then it opens up into a much larger chamber. And so he kind of like scooters out and like flicks down the goggles. They activate. And Scooter looks around and sees that it, I guess it is the proper pronoun. It is technically a non-living arcane construct of celestial nature and doesn't necessarily have a weasel gender.
It's fine.
They the weaselkin sees that the chamber that it is in let me pause here. How are we intuiting that Scooter is relaying this information to you? Are you looking through Scooter's eyes?
Once they let me know there's a larger chamber, I'm going to sell myself down, and I will see through his eyes, hear through his ears.
Okay. No perception check required. You find yourself in a the specific set of like chambers and offshoot corridors is not familiar to you, but it is familiar in the sense that like you remember when you guys went down in the grand excavation and you kind of found the like partly excavated, partly still standing ruins of like the ancient Invarian structures that were down here. You find that like the tunnel that you guys have like broken out of seemed to be connected to like a partly traversable piece of Invarian like ancient Invarian structure of some sort. There is nothing particularly like distinguishing about these chambers. They're just distinguishable only by the fact that they are still like barely holding together like open chambers from however long ago. There's nothing in them necessarily.
There's no suspicious pseudo-fluorescent magical light that pops up when Scooter enters the area?
No, there is not.
Okay. Alright, good news. Tunnel's only 4 or 5 feet. Bad news. Doesn't look all that steady. Walter, you're a miner. Please tell me I'm wrong.
No. I would, but I can't because it's rough. It's a shame we got rid of that alchemy jug because Brahm's probably gonna have a hard time getting through this.
Okay.
What would the alchemy jug have done in this situation?
Grease.
Oh, okay.
Or mayonnaise.
I
whatever.
immediately thought mayonnaise, and I was like, "How would mayonnaise help in this situation?"
We're gonna
but that's
coat
really
ramen
on
mayonnaise and
me
pull
and
through.
my personal journey about why I think
It wasn't really
mayonnaise
an
when I
alchemy
think
jug. It was just a
alchemy
mayonnaise
jug.
jug. It wasn't an alchemy jug at all.
I mean, would have been grease in a pinch, but Okay, so
So we go quickly.
the only problem is that tunnel. We can't make that tunnel any bigger, and
Only short rested, right?
yeah.
Yes.
I look around and I kind of motion to the fact that like we can't go back, can only go forward. Like,
Yeah. All right.
Start
Take a
So
8-hour nap. I can do something about it.
we don't got that kind of time.
What are you gonna do? Find that closed wall behind the secret entrance and decide to go through it?
We should also make sure that we're as close to out of the sea as possible because, for all we know, we could see our dear friend Osrius again being chased by a dozen Ignean soldiers. I'd rather him not find himself alone in that case.
High
I have
Haven.
held
Leanna
funeral
Highhaven
services
says,
before for
she says,
people that got trapped in mines.
she says, hang on a minute. She gestures towards Brahm. She says, are you saying that if we hunker down for a while for you to regain your strength, there is something that you think you can do which will not require us to precariously try to force our way through this rather small and unstable opening?
Yes and no. Something I could do that would mean some of us don't have to squeeze through there. I can, if we take a nice little nap, I can dimension door twice. Oh, I can dimension door 3 times.
Okay.
And I can
That's
take one
technically-
person with
That's
me.
technically
I
twice.
can wait. Can I? Where am I at on that?
So
But having to get there and back is different.
I can do it twice right now.
all right. I don't like the idea of splitting us up. That would only get a couple of people through.
But you could get through. Walter could get through. I can dimension door Brahm and Leanna.
Yeah, it would limit the risk of how many people have to cross.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
so Haven says, if I'm understanding this correctly, I'm arbitrarily assigning you the rank of corporal. Why not? Corporal Adon can bring one person through. If we wait, Brom can bring one person through.
I can
If
bring
we wait
2
and
people
they-
I can
through.
see
I'd
Yeah.
have to go one time, crawl through the hole, go back another time.
I can dimension door there once, then have to use it again to come back, and then use it a 3rd time to go back again.
So
I
she
can
says,
do it twice without that.
I have three
whole hockey.
shots.
If everyone else is comfortable crawling through.
I'm willing to take the risk of crawling through. Walter.
If
Can
this
you-
is unstable enough, I don't think we should wait this long in this tunnel.
Okay. Then all right, Belza.
I'm
Take-
fine with this. I am just saying one thing. Doing this twice means I have no special things later. This is it for my big booms and big things. So if we run into trouble, we're back to old standby of firebolt. Just I'm fine with it, but I'm just laying it out there. I'm fine because we can't wait in this tunnel. It's gonna collapse. I don't like this tunnel.
Okay.
Let's get into the more secure section of tunnel before we rest. That makes the most sense.
Yes.
Belza, take Brom through.
Mhm.
Then stay put. I'm pretty sure the rest of us should be able to squeeze through. Next person to go through. The first person to go through should be you, Lady Delker.
We can help her through on the other side. Yes.
And she's the smallest of us. She'll have the easiest time. Then you, Inquisitor, Walter and me will go last.
And I look to High Haven. I say, if you can't fit through, just call me. I'll wiggle through and come for you.
Just hand her a rope and pull.
We'll deal with
she says,
pulling of people
"I-
later. And I just go over to Brahm and hold out my hand, all like courtly and polite and stupid, because I'm getting delirious with how tired I am. Brahm, are you ready?
Sure.
Let's go. And I will dimension. Actually, time out. I'm gonna go look through the hole first to make sure I don't fucking end up in the wall. I
Sure.
want to see where I'm going, and then I will
Okay.
grab Brahm and dimension Doris through.
Okay, so easily enough, you guys, you take, she takes your hand, Brom, and I guess we know what Brahms' version of Dimension Door looks like. What does it look like when Velza Dimension Doors? So Brahms sort of just like, when we've seen him do it, he sort of like either strikes a chord or like via sound wave of some sort. It's sort of like pulls an opening in reality that he's typically done it at extremely high speeds when we've seen it before.
Yeah, Brahms only works at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, Brahms is a sort of a rather like abrupt and like almost violent dimension dooring. What does Velza's dimension door look like?
Given that description, probably pretty opposite. It's almost like a hazy, kind of like the smoke from like a fire at night drifting off, and little, not like sparkles, but little bits of light in it, flecks of like gold and green in it, as if there's like some art, like you can see like the same kind of green coloring as her other spells that you've seen, kind of twists in there, and then it just hazy, like wibbly wobbly and very gentle goes through.
So amidst the haze of sort of like ethereal smoke and these motes of golden and green light, you guys kind of just like step forward, and in that one step you go from being on one side of this opening to the other side, and you are clear. You find yourself in a chamber that is roughly you gauge to be about 20 feet long. Ceiling is about 10 foot high. The room itself is maybe only like 8 feet wide ish, but there are three doorways like leading elsewhere from this chamber. You gauge there probably was another, at least one, but it is currently like on the collapsed portion of this chamber. So the two of you are on the far side. So you said Lady Delker is next?
When you get to the other side, Scooter will be there. Grab the goggles off him. That way you can see.
I'm gonna hold up a finger and then just like break the lights in apart, and then just send a chain so it's lit on both sides.
Okay.
Or do that.
Enough. So here's how we're gonna handle this. We have 4 people that need to go through. We have Delker, Highhaven, Walter, Elon. Each person that goes through, we're gonna make a dexterity based check. Each person that goes through is gonna have a certain DC to beat, to decide whether or not like something potentially bad happens. And with each consecutive person that goes through, that DC is going to get slightly harder. So Lady Delker will make her approach first. So she will make a dexterity check. She gets a 15. That is ample to get through. So she kind of wiggles her way through. There is a little bit of a kind of shifting of pebbles and rocks and things as she makes her way through. But she gets through to the other side without any further incident. So you said you were sending Highhaven through next? Alrighty. Easily. Highhaven rolls a 19. She takes her sword and sort of like passes it through to Velza. She takes a few of her other like accoutrements and sends them through to slim down her profile of things that are on her. And then she sort of like sizes up the opening, like gingerly reaches through like head and shoulders and like reaches her arms to reach as far as she can into the opening, and then kind of like just deftly sort of like whoop, pulls herself and sort of like almost like as much as she can manage, she's sort of like a threading the needle, just like throws herself through the opening and comes to like a rolling stop on the other side. There's a little bit more of a like shifting as a few of the like, she disrupts the sides of this opening a little bit, but she makes it through. So we have Walter and we have Alar remaining. I'm going to give you guys the information, up top here. The DCs for each of your guys' respective, passes through this are creeping up here. It is going to be, for whoever goes first, it's going to be a 15. For whoever goes second, it's going to be an 18 to clear through.
Alar, you go first. I have other means.
Okay. See you on the other side.
All right, DC 15 dexterity check.
Can I help him through?
Sure, you can. You can, if you want to help him in some way. I'll give him advantage on the roll.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it.
I'll start pushing his feet.
Pull from the other side a little, or balance him on the other side.
Even with advantage, a check on the roll is an 11.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen. What was the worst of the two throws, just out of curiosity?
10.
Okay, so 10 and 11. Alar, you begin to move your way through, and you are, much as you had seen, you are being very delicate in trying to not, bump sides or top of this opening, kind of make your way through. You're sort of shimmying. As you get your, body kind of, all the way in, your arms are sort of outstretched as you're, creeping your way up. Your feet are probably, just sticking out the bottom of this as your hands, reach the other side. You feel Walter is kind of, gently pushing your feet to help, scooch you forward. You kind of, reach out, and you're able to get purchase on the outside of the opening on the far side and begin to, pull yourself through. But as you get, kind of your head and shoulders begin to come out, the spread of your elbows and your shoulder blades, you sort of, bump the upper side of one of these, and you hear a very ominous, shift. So at this point, make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Evasion, 16.
Okay, so Alar, you pull yourself through. You feel the crevice split and give way, and the earth start to shift, and this tunnel begin to collapse. And you pull yourself with all your might. Walter assisting you with seeing and hearing this from the other side, shove on your feet. You are going to take hang on, half damage
evasion.
Since you are half damage, quarter damage if you're going to evade.
Yep.
Just to clarify, since I haven't checked up on this in a while, what is the specific wording of evasion?
Let me just make sure I'm stating this right. Let's see. When you are subject to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to only take half damage, you instead take no damage if you succeed and only half damage if you fail. So if I failed, I take half the damage that you would
Gotcha.
roll. If I succeed, I come off scot-free.
Okay, so you sure enough, dexterity, that was a dex saving throw for half damage situation. At full damage, you would have taken 25 points of damage. But since you succeeded, instead of taking half of 25 points of damage, you take no damage, as between your own nimbleness and the assistance of Walter pushing you through, you sort of just unceremoniously are blorted out the other end of this opening, kind of dropping to the ground. As you look back, the opening now is collapsed. So Walter, you now find yourself on the opposite end of this, what was a small opening into this other chamber, and is now a solid wall of pretty heavily packed stone and earth, that is within the parameters of your mold earth, but you kind of know from your previous attempts here is probably not suitable to continue to try and mold earth your way through without risking further cave-in and collapse. Brahm is AFK.
Let me check the wording on something real fast. I may have to DM Fiat some cheese real fast.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a I saw the other side, right? I saw roughly the other side, right?
Yeah, because you used your jam.
Yeah. So I am going to pop Morgan into existence on the other side of this collapse.
Okay.
Appearing in an unoccupied space within range doesn't say I have to see it; just has to be within range. And so I am deaf and blind with regard to my own senses.
Before here's what I'm gonna do though, because before I let you summon Morgan, because it does say an unoccupied space. You have seen the space,
and I don't know exactly where anybody ended up.
but there are currently 5 people in that space. So let's, for simplicity's sake, let's say this. We're gonna say, I know the room is larger than this, like based on the specifications of the tile 5 foot square thing. But let's say
I was gonna summon her into the upper area.
There's 20. Let's say there's 20 open spaces. 5 of them are currently occupied by.
I have something
bodies.
for that. Nope, I got a better idea.
Okay.
I know what you're going with. I'm going to cast message, which again doesn't require visual. I only need to know that somebody's on the other side of the wall.
Okay.
I'm going to tell whoever. Let's say Alar, because I know more or less where he would have plopped
Sure.
down. So I'm gonna tell Alar, is like, I need to bring Morgan over there. Just everybody clear 5 to 10 feet away from the wall where the collapse is.
I relay the message. All right, everybody over this way. Everybody over this way. We need space.
Backing up.
And I'm going to wait a few seconds. I'm going to pop a very confused bird onto the floor, onto the other side of the collapse. And then I'm going to take over her senses to see, which makes me deaf and blind in regard to my own. But that only makes me deaf and blind in regards to my own. It does not preclude me from doing other things.
Sure.
So I'm going to use her sight to Misty Step to the other side of the wall.
Alrighty. So you, in a very
Because
convoluted...
Misty Step requires that I have to see where I'm going.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
In a very convoluted series of events, you manage to get yourself into a situation where you can Misty Step your way through. Are you able to? There's no caveats in Misty Step that you can't teleport through solid surfaces, right?
It only says that I can see.
Okay.
Yeah. You teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see. Because he can see through his familiar's sight,
so
as long as it's within 30 feet of where his body is.
Everybody get back! Pop! What's the bird doing here? Pop!
So,
here's Walter!
Yeah, so here's from your guys' perspective, here's what happens. You guys pull Alar through, the tunnel collapses. I don't know, let's just say for the narrative sense, the dancing light that is in here is distinguished, as he can't have access to this room again. So you guys go into the monochrome of dark vision. Then Alar is alright, he's doing something, everybody back up, and everybody backs up, and then a bird appears, and then 1 second later a Walter appears and falls on the bird. It's bird, guy. You hit the ground. You
right.
guys are all
It
through
worked.
the opening.
Okay.
Behold the power of cheese.
All right. Okay. The three doors. Spatial sense. Which ways do they lead?
One
one leads
is
north. One leads. Yep.
facing. One is facing north. One is facing north by like. So if you imagine a rectangular room, one is at the far end of the rectangle from where you guys came in. You guys came in kind of at like the corner-ish of the rectangle. One is facing. One is at the short end, opposite end of the rectangle. You gauge that leads pretty much straight north as far as you can tell. The other two are beside each other on what you gauge to be the east wall. 1, 2.
Okay. That way leads east. That way leads north. We're not going to be able to take the original tunnel, but the north tunnel would keep us in roughly that same direction. There might be a chance that intersects with this again.
Eeny, meeny, miny, that one. It'll point to the east.
East would put us.
Because we went kind of like west around everything, right? And we wanted to be in the northeast section of the city.
Well, we're heading for the park, so what?
You're kind of heading for the northeast section of the city. You guys gauge that you are somewhere in the vicinity of the Ambassador's Ward. So you gauge that you are somewhere vaguely east a little bit. No, sorry, vaguely west a little bit, like northwest-ish of the castle. So for like where you know you are trying to head, it is north by northeast a little bit from where you are.
I'd say we head north. It put us roughly in the direction that we were trying to get to in the first place, but
That's fine, and I'll dismiss Morgan. As it's safer that way.
okay. Make sure that Lady Delker has the night vision goggles, and off we go.
Alrighty. Checking some notes real quick.
Doing that, I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay. As he's heading out. Here is what happens as you guys pick that path. You guys proceed through a what you kind of gauge to be. It almost has the feel of like some sort of like an access tunnel, in some sort of underground network of sorts. You enter into a pretty enormous chamber after about 15 minutes, 20 minutes of walking in what you gauge to be more or less a straight line. This chamber has one entrance through which you have entered, one exit through which you can leave, and that exit points what you gauge to be directly north from you. The enormous chamber is roughly circular. It has a fairly high ceiling. There is a what you see to be a massive granite block suspended from the ceiling of this chamber. As you look at it, you realize that it is carved into what you kind of can intuit is the rough shape of the head of a gigantic hammer. There are runes you can see inscribed into the north and the south walls of this chamber, which create you know, kind of as you look at them, like the outline of what vaguely matches the like mostly square but like slightly angular footprint of the massive like granite hammer obelisk that is suspended from the ceiling. Scattered around the room are like hundreds and hundreds of like bits of what look like just like pieces of like rubble and destroyed stone or masonry or something like that.
About how big is the room?
Probably about 70-75 feet. And so from like where you are, basically to your left and right are the like the imprints on the walls where there are that like make those outlines.
The runes, are they of a decipherable language? Are they
Hard to
arcane
tell.
runes?
You're kind of too far away at this point. You're gonna have to get closer to see them.
Okay.
And the smashed up rubble is randomly throughout the room or in specific places?
Seems to be pretty randomly scattered throughout the room.
Can I do a history check on, given what the steward said about like there's Invariant ruins and there's weird windy tunnels and like
I'd like to use stone cutting.
there's like random stuff. Can I do like a history check or something to see what
You
I
can
may know
make a
about
history
this
check,
place?
sure.
Nope. Also did not pay attention in school. Never mind. It's like a
What's
10.
your roll? 10?
10.
I mean, a 10 is enough to know that sort of the premise of this whole campaign world, right, is that like there is such a high frequency of ancient Invarian shit that is like dungeony and bizarre and weird and still has like semi pseudo functioning magic stuff hundreds upon hundreds if not thousands of years after the fact, that like there is a whole like specific class of adventurer in this world that is, you know, relic hunters that are specifically geared towards going into these places and like navigating this sort of shit. The Invarians, for all of their other mysterious, weird, enigmatic / horrible stuff that they were into, were like way into constructing things that thousands of years later now seem entirely like batshit insane. Us as the viewer would interpret as like classic dungeon puzzle shit that like clearly had some sort of like specific form and function and purpose at, you know, like at the time when it was designed, but is, you know, now sort of a thing that like is frequently navigated by relic hunters, these specific adventurers, to like find cool shit and treasure and answers to lost knowledge and arcana. So with the 10, that is enough. Like, you don't gain any insight to like the hell this chamber is or like what its function would have been or anything like that, but like that's enough to know like, oh, like this is definitely some like ancient ass Invarian stuff that like may or may not still be functioning, that is probably going to make crossing this chamber extremely complicated.
Well, if there are runes, and they may be in Varian, Walter will be attempting to try to read them in some capacity, and if I need to get closer to do so, I'm going to kind of look at the party.
I'm
And
I'd like to take the risk. I can also read in Varian, and also I think I've got a better chance of dodging the hammer.
Okay.
after you.
So I will approach the runes, keeping frequently flicking my gaze back toward the hammer, waiting for it to move and try to smush me.
Okay.
And so I don't have to rely on dark vision, which may not work with the runes. I will risk lighting a torch.
Okay. So you light a torch. You move into the room. So Walter and Aylar are heading into the room. Velza, Brahm.
Alar's heading in first. I will probably be a few steps behind him, but
That's
I'm gonna wait and see what happens with him first.
I'm just sort of gauging you guys are moving into the room. The rest of you are doing what? Standing out in the entrance of this room. Okay. Here is how we're gonna handle this. Everybody, roll me initiative.
11.
21.
9.
Dirty 20.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the two NPCs out of this for now. Okay. Aylar and Walter, as you guys make your way into the chamber and head towards, I guess, kind of tell me what you're doing. Essentially, the chamber is like a big, vaguely circular shape, entrance and exit at either end. The exit, from what you can see as you send illumination forward into this, is sealed by a large stone door. The runes that you guys are talking about approaching are on either side of the chamber. So entrance that you guys are coming in, exit to the chamber, runes.
I will head. I will head to the runes to the west, which would be, I think, left. Since
Is
I'm
left
approaching
to your
the-
guys' yes.
Yeah.
I'll take the right.
Okay. So you guys kind of move in. Walter is a little bit behind
Yeah.
Aylar.
Probably gonna go around the edges a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure to step carefully to not disturb the rubble piles.
Okay.
Does it look like they were smashed, down in, are they mini craters, or are they just piles of rubble?
Sort of piles of rubble. I mean, there is definitely evidence that the thing in the ceiling here has smashed down onto the floor, right? There are cracks kind of throughout the floor from where something heavy has slammed down. As you guys make your way in, the chamber is still and quiet, and you proceed forward, cautiously at first, a few steps at a time. Nothing seems to be happening. As you guys branch off to head towards these respective runes on either side, there is a kind of a gritty, clattering sound, and both Walter and Aylar inside the chamber, you kind of feel sort of tap, you feel a kind of a tap plunk against your boots, and you look down and you see that all of this scattered rubble throughout this room is sort of kind of bouncing and rolling and clattering against your feet as it is drawing in towards a particular point in the center of this room.
I'm gonna go faster towards towards the rune.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to get some distance between me and this thing
Sure.
that's forming, and I'll yell back. I think we're about to have company.
Just let me know. Just yell what it says. I'll yell what mine says. You just yell what yours says.
Got it.
Okay. So you guys, okay. You guys run, so begin to run. So we will kind of like enter initiative here. Both of you guys at this point are probably 30 feet from. Actually, let's call it. Let's call it 35 feet from the respective runes.
Rude. See how it is.
Walter, you are going to be the first to react here, as we're in initiative at this point.
I'm going to, I'm going to use my 30 feet of movement to walk over to within 5 feet of where this rune is. Can I read the rune from this distance?
You can make out the individual runes, and you are close enough to determine that like they do not translate to anything like readable, so much as they are like arcane formulae for a spell or an enchantment of some sort that is in this room. So like they don't have any like readable translation. They're just imbued runes.
Can I try an Arcana to see if I can tell what it does?
Sure.
9.
With a 9, I think the only thing that you can kind of tell is that there is some element of whatever this set of runes is that has some linkage to the like currently accumulating bits of what you gauge to be like stone and rubble and debris that are like smashed and scattered across the floor.
Sure. 2 questions. 1, does that take my action to do that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. The next is if I need to do an action, like right now, I wanted to like investigate and try to figure out if there's like a lever button. I don't know if that requires an action or not, but I'd like to see if there's a lever button or anything in the immediate vicinity, any way to interact with this. That's what I'd like to try to figure out what I need to do.
Okay.
Unless that was covered by the Arcana, but
no, I'll let you burn your action to make an investigation roll with these runes.
Are you kidding me? It's a 7, but if I swore it landed on the 20 for a second.
Yeah, you're not sure. There's these runes. They surround this sort of like, you know, like depression in the wall that is sort of shaped vaguely like a smaller version of that big hammer granite etching that is in the ceiling. But you're not really sure what's going on with that.
All right. I'm gonna kind of like turn back to face the thing that's accumulating in the center of the room, and then I'm gonna pass. Let's say into my turn.
Okay.
That's all I can do.
Very good. Velza, that brings us to you.
We can, from where we are, like see the stones. They've kind of hurried up. Like things are going down.
Alar didn't yell back that we're
Yeah.
about to have company.
Yeah, so you kind of see this. You see the two of them like "Ooh!" begin to like run for those runes on the walls, and something is like gathering in the center of this chamber.
I call out to Walter, seeing that he got there a little faster. What does the rune say?
It's a magic formula. I don't know what it does or how to work it.
Great.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to. Shit. It's gathering in the center of the room.
I guess I can like point. at the thing on the ceiling and say, kind of like something with that, maybe.
Okay. I'm going to do. What am I gonna do with my life tonight? I don't know. Probably die. I'm going to move forward and kind of pivot towards Walter a little, but I'm sticking like even closer to the edge of the room. Like I'm like barely leaving the wall. And I want to keep my eyes on the center of the room.
Okay.
And the second anything forms, if it makes a hostile move towards any of us, I'm going to firebolt it.
Okay.
That is all I've got right now.
Alright, so you're holding your action. Alrighty. That is going to bring us to whatever the sort of like entity of this room is. You guys watch as all of this, like, these bits of, like, stone and motes of dust and pebbles and other, like, calcified, whatever, you know, like, bits of things sort of, like, accumulate into the center. And kind of rise up off of the ground somewhat and form this amorphous sort of like vaguely nautiloid shape. So like a nautilus, if you know what a nautilus shell is, it's sort of that shell that is like, you know, open on one end and sort of like curls to a point. It kind of makes a sort of a shape kind of similar to that. It's, you know, vaguely like diamond-y shaped, but three-dimensional and sort of rounded, of just these sort of like loose bits of stone and debris and stuff like that that's just sort of like swirling and clattering around against each other beneath this massive thing in the center of the room. That is all that happens with that. Like after this thing sort of like coalesces into this loose form, it doesn't do anything else. Which will kind of bring us, Alar, to you. You see this thing happen in the center of the room, and that is all that happens.
Okay. I beeline it for the runes on the other side. I will make my own Arcana check. 24.
Okay. With the 24 Arcana check, you can tell that the runes in this surrounding this hammer shaped, you know, head of a hammer shaped opening are they all seem to have to do with like the transference of kinetic force. You are fairly certain that the idea here is that anything that strikes this, you know, recessed indentation in the shape of this hammer, you know, head between these runes, the kinetic force will be like absorbed and transferred and sent to do some sort of mechanical work elsewhere.
What in the God's name were they thinking? I'm gonna take a risk. I'm going to just hit it with the pommel of my rapier.
Make a strength check, I guess.
I slip, and I only I rolled a 2.
Okay, so with the 2, you sort of like, not sure what to do. You sort of like clack the pommel of your rapier into this. There is like an almost imperceptible sort of like flare of the runes around this thing, and that sort of like loosely accumulated mote of debris and like stuff sort of like shifts and swirls like ever so slightly faster for a moment, but then like returns to nothing.
These control that. I have no idea what that does, but I think these control that.
What does that mean, Alar?
You hit the hammerhead and that thing moves faster. I don't know what it does.
All right.
I guess it is.
I'm pretty sure that uses up my.
Sure. Yeah, that's
turn.
definitely your turn. Brahm, that is going to bring us to you. So you see all of this happen. You hear this exchange take place. You are standing in the doorway, and you have about 35 feet from you, in on opposite sides, Walter and Alar are both looking at these like rune-shaped depressions on the wall. This big, massive, like granite carved hammer thing in the ceiling, and then directly beneath it, this swirling mass of like loose debris and rubble and stone and earth and things like that.
I'm assuming Brahm has no more of an idea what this is than
Probably
his
not.
other two compatriots.
We figured out that if you hit one of the rune things, it does something. Which
goes
Alar
dings
shared,
when there's
Alar
stuff.
shared with the class. So
Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go bonk another room.
I don't. What's your movement speed?
30 feet.
So you cannot physically get close enough to bonk a rune.
Shoot a rune?
You can shoot a rune.
Attempt to shoot a rune. Then.
All right, roll.
shoot
roll
Alar
hit.
rune or Walter rune.
Well, Alar bonked his, and yours isn't bonked, so I'm gonna bonk yours. You just want me to roll the hit?
Yep.
Make
just
sure
roll,
you use
roll
your
to hit.
your old timey cartoon fisty arrows.
26.
A 26. You're shooting whose rune now?
Walters.
Walter's. You definitely hit. This is a crossbow bolt.
Yeah.
Roll damage.
Four points of damage.
Okay, so with a crossbow hit with 4 points of damage, your crossbow bolt just sort of like plinks off of the stone of this wall, but you hit it within the confines of that ring of runes. And what you see happen as a result is that like spinning column of stuff in the center, whereas like when Walter or when Alar like bonked his, it sort of like spun faster a little bit. When you like plink this, it kind of like bobs in the air a little bit. The whole thing of it goes like boop, down and then up and back to its original position.
See what that means.
Okay, well, that is your turn. That is going to bring us to. I said Delker and.
Highhaven are staying out of it.
What's that? Yeah, they're staying out of it for now. So here's what happens now. You guys kind of like get to these things. You sort of like look around. You see what the the story is. Alar gives a sort of like cursory like knock with his rapier. Brahm like shoots the other one. You kind of see how it affects this like swirling mass of stuff in the center. The next thing that happens is that there is a thrum of magic from within this chamber, and both Walter and Alar, you guys see the like sort of like the runes near you guys. They kind of like pulse with this turquoise illumination that comes like from within the runes themselves in this very like sporadic staccato nature that I think probably is pretty clear to you. Is like, imagine it as if like it is like a short circuit is like running through something, and like there's like this cascading error like shooting through it, right? But the magic version of that. A similar illumination you see like kind of comes from some carvings around this large like hammer structure that is in the you know that is suspended. You see it from the ceiling here, and what happens is there is a rumble, like, and the hammer, like the flat of this massive hammer sort of like shifts around and seems to be like try to term this. If you've ever seen like a like one of those like mechanical engraving things, you know what I'm talking about, where like the thing comes down, it goes like, and then like finds its position, and like the head of this hammer sort of like does that for a second or two, and then I'm gonna make a roll here, and currently I want to say Brahmin, Velza, did both of you move up to do your thing?
I moved up like very little and then moved towards Walter, but I didn't get very far up. So.
Brahm is currently also glitching.
Oh, he's frozen. Oh no.
Yeah, Windows decided now is the perfect time to update.
Sure. We're gonna say
9:43.
We're gonna say everybody's in the room that is a player character.
Yeah.
Alar.
Okay.
The thing. And then like kind of angles, and this like hammer thing slams in your direction, coming down from the ceiling. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
15.
Okay, so that is not enough. You will fail the dex saving throw here. So evasion is going to come into this, I assume. But you will
half damage of whatever.
So you'll take half damage. Mm-hmm. So you will take 14 points of bludgeoning damage as this thing like and just slams down into you. And then like as you are like cracked by this thing and battered down into the floor, it immediately just like back up to its normal position.
Okay. I'm going to yell to everyone, back to the other side! Because I have a stupid idea now.
I mean, I haven't gone far. I'll back up.
Hey, Brahma's retouching. Okay. All right. So that is that's gonna bring us to the top of the order. So Walter, that brings us to your turn. So you just saw this hammer thing come down from the ceiling and like body Alar into the ground, essentially.
Alar, same time? Hit at the same time?
Sure.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna prepare an action, and whenever Alar says 3, I'm gonna swing the shovel at the runes.
Okay.
So you hit it at the same time, and hopefully it does something less hurty, differently hurty.
Sure. Okay. All right. So you're holding your action essentially.
Yeah, I'm gonna shillelagh.
Sure.
I'm
No
gonna
problem.
try to smack it with the shillelagh
Okay.
divide thing.
Velza,
instead.
that is going to bring us to you. What are you doing with your turn?
Getting
We
to
ha-
safety is an option.
We
That's-
have to get to the. My understanding of this space right now is the other side continues us on the way through. Is there?
I mean, ALR did yell for you to get back toward the entrance, but
Yes.
what you decide to do is up to you.
My thought is if this thing keeps hammering people, we're gonna have a hard time getting across. In the end, if this thing just keeps falling down, like
Yeah, might as well be smashed to bits by the exit. We can
that's
pull
kind
the
of my
paste out.
like yeah, like if I get hit back here, I have to drag my broken body farther. It's kind of my thought.
Walter will just like wave her past, like just go. We got this.
I will keep edging, sticking to the edges, and just try to like. I'm gonna dash like around the room. Like I'm not touching any of the runes. I'm being very careful and mindful. Of, like
Are you going Walter or Alar's direction?
I was originally heading towards Walter.
Okay.
So I'm gonna keep going that way since I kind of like stuttered. Like when Alar yelled "go back," I kind of started to. And I was like, "Oh nope," and
Okay.
I just kind of.
So you are able to get, like, you pass Walter, and get further towards the exit of the room. So you're sort of like, you're at the, like, 2 o'clock of this room at this point.
Yeah.
The 12 being, like, the exit, theoretically, as you use your dash action to, like, move the rest of the way around there. Okay. The next thing, the thing in the center of the room is going to go now. You watch as it similarly, like, the runes, again, they flare in a way that looks very much like they are not functioning as intended. And it is going to, this thing in the center is going to, make a roll here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 of you in the room, 5 of you in the room right now. Okay. It is going to head towards Walter. This, like, swirling, vaguely nautiloid shaped mass of stuff sort of, like, drifts in the direction of Walter. It only moves about 15 feet, so it only closes about half the distance between, like, where it was in the dead center of the room and where you're standing. And that's all it does. It just, like, drifts in that direction and then, like, sort of continues to spin. And that is all it does. Alar, that is going to bring us to your turn. So Velza
Right,
has, like, around the room towards the exit, which is like a sealed, like, door made of, some sort of stone metal hybrid, same as the walls of the Mithlindian ring circles of Navirium. And this thing has drifted towards Walter a little bit.
Okay, I am going to, again, strike it with the pommel of my rapier. This time I'm going to cast Booming Blade to try and give it a little bit more of a kick.
Are you counting to 3? So I can
Yeah,
hear
I'm
you on
going
3,
1,
or-
2!
I will also hit it with the shillelagh.
Okay.
Oh, it's a 14 to hit.
Okay.
13 to hit.
Oh, yikes.
Both of those, he's gonna have to hit, like, you're hitting the wall of a chamber, not hard. Go ahead and make strength. Let's do it this way. This will be a little. This will be a little easier. This will probably speed up this process. Go ahead, how about instead of rolling to hit on these things, why don't you guys make strength checks on these things?
Okay, 14.
Strength check
Yeah.
instead of rolling damage. Okay. Right. Dude. 13.
Okay.
Oh, we traded.
With a 14 and a 13. This thing, again, now simultaneously, this thing, like, the swirling mass of loose debris sort of, like, speeds up a little bit more this time, because you only, like, donked it with a 2 before, now you've got a 14. Speeds up a little bit and kind of, like, swirls in a fast rotation, and as it does, that sort of, like, nautiloid shell shape kind of elongates a little bit, the base of it coming to a little bit of a sharper point. Walter, as you hit your set of runes, it again plunges kind of downward and then comes up again. However, it is in the process of, as it has been like drifting towards you, instead of being straight up and down like it was before, it's kind of angled itself this way, so that as you guys hit it, this thing goes like, and the tip of it kind of like grazes into the floor of the chamber at an angle. You don't see anything really like happen as this process like undoes, you know, it kind of like rises up and goes back to the way it was before. But you hear like all of the like debris and stone and stuff like scrapes hard against the floor of this chamber as you guys simultaneously like whack these things.
I think I may begin to understand.
Okay, I think that brings us to Brahm at this point. If neither of you guys do anything else with their turn.
Brom still doesn't quite understand what the puzzle is here. So I'm, he'll just be like, what do you need me to do?
Shit.
Shatter the door?
If you can, yeah. Otherwise, get back toward the other side.
Or get to the door. At this point, I don't really know.
Yeah, I guess I'll go over to the door. Not that it's gonna make a difference.
So you're heading across the room towards the exit door. Okay.
Just like in the middle.
Yeah.
If he's dashing, he can pretty much cross the room.
Do I see anything by the door that looks like anything is any sort of... Or is there anything around the room that's like...
Does it say speak friend and enter in Dwarvish?
No.
Like, gonna hit those three.
Make an investigation roll.
That's gonna be a 15.
With a 15, you can see that this doorway was sealed off by with a 15. You will remember from the Invarian ruin that you guys delved in the Scarred Lands, where you went to that research station that had the time weirdness from that broken chronomancy artifact. You kind of remember that like the doors that were sealed there were like not you the player, kind of to give you the context, like sci-fi airlock hatches, right? Like something happened to like cause the close down, and these hatches made of this material closed, and you guys were able to open some of them by like a Herculean amount of effort of Nula like prying some of them open to descend downward. This is a similar situation where like this door, whatever this doorway is, like, be it via the failure of whatever the like arcane systems that were built into this chamber, whatever this was, like something at some point triggered this safety door basically to seal itself. And now you are inside the room on, from your current objective, appears to be the wrong side of this door. And that's sort of like what you gauge this to be. There is no there's not like a button or a lever or a hidden switch or whatever to like open this door. This is some sort of like arcane controlled blast door or safety mechanism that shut this barrier. And in the Scarred Lands, Nula was able to pry her way through them with a pretty significant amount of effort. But you guys will remember that, like, the way to open them was to wrench them back into the slot that they came out of, as opposed to, you guys finding any way to, like, finagle them open.
That's all I'm going to do for now, since I know nothing else.
Okay. Alrighty. Then with Brahm's turn, what is going to happen now is I'm going to make another roll. Okay. Velza. The flickering of the runes on the walls and on the ceiling again kind of like takes place, and now I need you to make a dexterity saving throw as the massive like whammer in the ceiling angles seems to like orient itself towards you and comes rushing in that direction.
A dex save, you said?
Yes.
19.
You throw yourself flat as this thing basically poof, slams down into this chamber in like the spot that you had been standing, and then heads back up to the original configuration in the center of the room. That is its turn, which will bring us to the top of the order, and Walter.
Did Brahm share that information with anybody?
Talking is a perfectly free action. You guys can feel free to cross-talk and table talk and strategize to your heart's content among yourselves as we're doing this. Don't worry about it.
Brahm, what's that door look like?
I'll convey.
That it's the same. All right, it's
all the door info.
Jam stuff in it, and we're gonna try to open it, I guess.
I start just laughing tiredly because I look around, we're all pretty effing weak, and I'm like, oh god.
I got an idea. Everybody get back toward the exit. Back toward the entrance. Back toward the entrance.
The entrance, I just got here, and I almost got hit by a fucking hammer ailer.
We're gonna use the hammer to smash the door. I'm gonna stand in front of it. You got a better idea? Sorry for yelling.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. The Pirates crew got this speech. I'm trying to like D&D light some of this in favor of a more free-flowing, improv-y sort of storytelling session. So I'm gonna pop us out of initiative for a second here, because it seems like you guys have settled on something that we can handle narratively, where Alar has basically said, like, everybody get out of the room, and I'm gonna try and, like, get the hammer to smash the door. Is everybody going along with that plan?
Sure.
I can, and when I'm at the entrance, I may attempt to mold Earth that Nautilus monster.
Okay.
to see if I can do anything with it. I don't know.
Okay. So, Walter, make me an Arcana check. The rest of you, head out. You can free move, back to the door here.
18.
18. Okay. With that 18, and Alar, you're heading towards the door, yeah?
Yeah, I'm heading toward the stone door and hoping that I draw the attention of the hammer again. So I'm, playing goaltender.
Sure. So here's kind of what happens. Alar, you guys, everybody like runs. There's probably another round or two of the hammer like smashing and trying to kill somebody. And this, as you guys spend your next round, like, running out of the room, and nobody is, like, whamming any type of force into either of those, like, rune plates, the thing in the center of the room, doesn't do much except like it follows a random person, it seems. But as the group of you get out of the room, leaving Alar to be the only person in the room, both the swirling mass of like debris and stuff and that hammer seem to focus on Alar. As that swirling mass of material moves in Alar's direction, and the hammer, poof, a few moments later, comes down in the direction of Alar. Alar, make a dexterity saving throw for me.
1 second. 19.
19 is good enough. So you can... Well, with evasion, you'll take no damage. So you jump out of the way. You manage not to get hit. And this thing slams into you where you're, like, moving towards the door on the far side. The swirling mass of material continues to move towards you. Where now kind of... You guys are all on one side of the chamber. Alar is on the other side of the chamber. This, like, swirling mass of earthen material is kind of right in front of him. The hammer in the ceiling has returned to its original fixed position. Walter, you attempt to mold earth to like manipulate this thing. And with the Arcana roll that you made, you're unsuccessful in managing to mold earth this. But with the Arcana roll that you made, you are able to discern that there is the reason that you are not able to like manipulate the motion of this like loose earth and stone and stuff is that there is like a way more powerful version of this similar brand of magic currently acting on this material, like animating it and causing it to like manipulate and maneuver in this way, that like your sort of simple mold earthy, technique is not capable of overpowering. And you kind of are able to tell that it is stemming from whatever like enchantment has been worked into this chamber. So at this point, we have the three of you plus Delker and Leanna Highhaven at the entrance of this room. Like out in the hallway. We have Alar like basically back against the exit to the room with like this swirling tornado of material kind of like facing him down, and we have the imminent threat of the hammer like we know every now and again like comes down. So what is it that you guys would like to do at this point as you have like finagled this position?
Watching the hammer.
Yeah, I've set myself up now. I'm hoping that when it tries to strike me again, I dodge out of the way and it hits the door.
Make a dexterity check.
Dexterity check or save?
Saving throw.
Okay. You were on a 19. I swear to God, you weren't. That's an 8.
Boy.
With an 8, you get whammed by this thing again. You take 13, or with evasion, you take 6 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
You kind of dive out of the way. This thing slams. You maneuver. You figured this piece of the puzzle out, right? Like, as you are the only person in the room, these things are, for whatever reason, like homing in on you. So you don't quite dive out of the way quick enough. You catch, part of the hammer like catches like the lower part of your leg, and you're like, oh, you like wrenched your knee. But this thing slams into the wall exactly like you had intended to do. But it is just a flat surface hitting another flat surface. It slams in with a tremendous amount of force. You are like, your leg is smashed, lightly smashed, and this hammer mechanism does not damage the exit door to this chamber. And as you like dive to the side, this like cone of stuff sort of like also is still following you as the only one in this chamber.
Okay. No sign of even the slightest bit of damage to the door?
No, it does not seem to have damage because it is like the surface area of this hammer thing is larger than the door, so it's basically like poof, whacked into the side of the wall. So it does. You don't get the sense that the hammer itself is going to penetrate through this wall.
Okay.
The dirt Nautilus.
Vomit!
Keep it occupied. I guess. And
We're not an initiative, so like just feel free to like shout things at me, like whatever you guys want to do, go for it.
Like, I don't have a spell that can target an object. Otherwise, I'd start blasting. I'd just start blasting the runes with magic. Unless you want Eldritch Blast a cat as a creature.
Here's the thing. I know Eldritch Blast doesn't say that it can hit it. That it has to like it can't target like an object, but like Eldritch Blast is force damage, and like we've clearly established a thing is going on here. Like shoot an Eldritch Blast into the wall. Like it's fine. We're gonna make the DM rolling that like you can definitely do that because like the transference of kinetic force has clearly been established as a thing that is important in this situation. So like
yes.
I'm fine with that. And we have 2 warlocks, and we have 2 things that need to be blasted.
Well, technically, I can hit both with an Eldritch Blast.
You can
at
both.
the same
Both
time.
of you can hit both with an Eldritch Blast.
Yep. Let's do that. Same time.
All right. Yeah. All right. Let's go for it, and then we'll do those 2 Eldritch Blast beams at the.
All right. So both of you roll to hit twice. Alar, make a Dexterity saving throw. Brahm, is there anything you would like to contribute to this situation?
Play us a nice song. I don't know.
Moral support.
Moral support in the form of a thing that is a mechanically relevant feature that
by
you have.
By moral support, I will.
To?
Bardic Inspire.
Alar.
Alar.
I feel like it's
Alar.
necessary.
I feel at this point, I hate to take away Brahm's agency, but I feel a dodgeball reference would probably work very well in
right.
this.
If you could dodge a hammer, you could dodge a Nautilus.
Okay, my dex save is 22.
Okay.
My attack rolls for my 2 Eldritch Blasts are a 23 and a 21 at yield eastern side.
All right.
A 21 and a 18 to hit.
Okay, so you guys all sort of back to the exit of this room. Alar like runs to the other side, luring this dust debris Nautilus towards him. And as you guys kind of proceed through this, you begin to develop the sense that like there is a rhythm to this, right? Like the whatever it is that the Nautilus is going to do is kind of triggered, and then like a split second later, the big whammer from the ceiling is triggered. So you guys manage to sort of time this out. You've gone through a few rotations of it as Alar like dives for his life each time until you're able to kind of like hone in on the timing of this. And so Alar sort of like throws himself to the side. This kind of Nautilus sort of like rolls towards him a little bit, but doesn't really do much else. The hammer poof, comes down and whams into the door again. He gets out of the way, and you have like a split second before this is going to like reset and go again. And in that moment, Brahm is like, "Hey, you got a buddy across the room," or whatever it is that he does.
Yeah, that's it.
And both Walter and Velza, you guys like double barrel fire off Eldritch Blasts, pure beams of kinetic force damage streak across the room and slam into the pressure plate of these rune encircled chambers. As you do that with these two powerful spells, the Nautilus spiral of debris, beginning its activation cycle towards the thing that it has locked onto in the chamber, which is Alar, kind of angles towards him where he is standing in front of the door, and with the strike of your 2 blasts, it goes from a nebulous swirl to like a supersonic like begins spinning around and like hones to a razor point. At the same time, it like presses forward, the tip of which Alar make a dexterity saving throw. One final one.
24.
Alar like dodges out of the way of the tip of this thing, slams into the strange metal stone hybrid of this door, and makes the exact sound of the sound of a dentist drilling into your tooth in your own
thanks,
head.
I can feel that.
Yeah,
thank you.
All you that like reverberates in all of your inner ears as the tip of this thing hits the door, and then a half second later, the hammer comes down where Alar had been and dove out of the way and slams into the back of this now honed into a drill point swirl of like stone debris, and you guys just hear and the hammer resets back to the ceiling. The Nautilus sort of like turns back into that sort of vaguely swirling vortex, but you see that a like 4-foot diameter hole has just been drilled straight through the exit door to this chamber through that blast door, opening up into the chamber beyond.
Okay. I am going to move back toward one of the rune sides, and I'm going to yell at them, "Go! Go! Go! Go!"
Everybody
You go, Mister. Got hit by the hammer like friggin' a forever times.
Everybody make one final dexterity saving throw for me.
Trying to draw its attention.
Stop trying to die.
Not trying to die. I have to pick-
13.
15? Okay.
13.
13. Sorry.
25.
Okay.
Is that correct on
15.
stream?
Okay.
Using the inspiration 25.
Okay. So you guys kind of quickly piece together as you guys make this break. Despite Alar's heroic efforts to like draw its attention, whatever malfunctioning magic is involved in this, like it does not seem to be like goatable, as it just like picks a random thing, like a random like being or living life form or whatever it is using to determine the criteria of like target acquisition. It just picks something in the room. So as you guys bolt for the side, it as Alar like runs to the room like, "I'm over here," it just hones in on Walter in this next round and like heads for him. The drill moat is not nor is neither able to get close enough to you, nor is it like triggered by an application of kinetic force to the trigger mechanisms to create a harmful effect. It doesn't form into the drill. It just sort of like floats towards you. The hammer does in fact come down and whams on top of you for 10 points of bludgeoning damage. But after that, you guys are able to safely like run collectively to the end of the room and like dive through the drill hole made, including Tabitha Delger and Liana Highhaven. You guys throw yourselves into this chamber, and as you guys all exit the chamber, you just everything kind of just resets, goes still. All of the debris that had made this thing sort of like settles back down, kind of like disperses across the floor, and everything goes still and quiet again.
So Velza, how do you like this Jason forgot, Walter doesn't. What was the name that we have for adventurers in this world?
Relic hunting.
Relic hunting. How do you enjoy this relic hunting business?
I slowly just look at Highhaven and I go, I think you're owing me a raise after this.
She shakes her head and she says, that is probably true, but you will. She gestures towards the room you just left, and then sort of like vaguely just at everything in general. She says, "Now you see why when the group of them came wandering out of the woods and decided they wanted to help with the town's undead problem, I was reluctant to invite a random band of relic hunters into my investigation. They are she gestures them like, they are, as it turns out, more competent than most, but a prerequisite for being a relic hunter I have determined over the course of my career is that one must be an absolute insane person."
He's right.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going.
As we were walking,
As Alar, slightly limps along the way.
you see Velza as we're walking, just kind of like considering to herself, like, I mean, I am a little bit messed up here, but I didn't think I was that stupid. And she's just walking quietly as she just contemplates all of her life choices and wonders why she ever made any decision ever that got her here. She's just like, oh god.
So you guys continue. You continue on your way. You go ahead and make another group survival roll for me. And I'll roll for your two NPCs. For the love of God, roll better than you did the last time.
8?
Jesus fuck.
I saved all my good rolls for getting out of the way.
I looked over as soon as I rolled mine. I saw Alar pop up.
So 2 8s. Luckily for you, Highhaven and Delka rolled a 19 and a 17 respectively.
22.
22.
Dirty 20.
Okay, all right, enough. Walter,
To be fair,
Walter
the two
and
people
Alar-
that got hit by the hammer.
Walter
yeah.
and Alar are a little dazed from their hammer.
Yeah, I'm slightly concussed. It's fine.
Yeah, so Walter and Ayla are hammered. They're not helpful in the. But you guys are able to navigate your way through a series of tunnels. What you are kind of able to discern as you move out of that particular chamber and you see some of the adjoining chambers, you get the sense that that chamber that you were in maybe was like a sort of like the tip of the spear in terms of like an expansion to this network of whatever all this stuff is. You see a lot of like chambers that you kind of intuit are dedicated, had been dedicated toward like I think probably Walter is your kind of your main point person on this. Like, it may be an ancient Varian ruin with no defining details in it, but like you sure as shit recognize the ancillary side shafts and support network of like a mining operation when you see one. Like whatever that chamber was and whatever shit they had devised to dig and to excavate, that chamber was like an excavation chamber that was intended to like continue to extend this network, and you guys are making your way through the like ancillary portions of that chamber until you eventually, with good enough survival rolls, thank Christ, are able to find your way back to the established like kingly escape route. After probably 2-3 hours underground, navigating your way through all this, dealing with those obstacles, you find your way to a very similar like grate in the ground that is well hidden inside like a much larger like engrovement of underbrush and plants and things inside the park district here. You have found your way to the exit of this tunnel, and are soon able to exit out of this into the forest ward, one of the districts of the city, and from there make your next move. But as you guys reach this and you see the dappled sunlight coming through this mostly covered grate in this secluded portion of the park in the forest ward, that is where we will end tonight's session, as you guys have successfully escaped from Castle Mithlinde, navigated the tunnel, and now only have to figure out if you can reunite yourselves with your separated party member and get out of a hostile occupied city to escape and continue your adventure. So no pressure. But thank you.
We call it Tuesdays.
that is what we call a Tuesday here in the Fool's Errand. So thank you guys for joining me. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Little Dragon Corp, Cardboard Castle, and special guest whose thing I will pop up in a second here if I can figure it out. Boom! Dokudel. Make sure to check out their stream April 29th through May 1st of 2022, obviously. Twitch.tv/PlaymoWeekender for all sorts of what I understand to be called gunpla.
Yeah, they'll be doing various model buildings.
Things like that, and all to raise money for a very, very worthy cause. So thank you, as always, to all of our sponsors. Thank you to Proficiency Bonus for letting us come in here and do this idiocy every week. Thank you to you guys, my players, as always, for coming and hanging out. And we'll see you next time. Next week is going to be the Pirates, and the week after will be the probably the conclusion of this chapter of our campaign as we move into the next bit. So we'll see you next time, and thank you as always for joining us. Good night, everybody.